Good morning, listeners. Today, a bright Sunday, joined by Mr. Sudath Silva, Superintendent of Customs, and we are listening to Coffee with Dan. Welcome to the studio, Sudath.
Yes, thank you.
Just give an introduction about Mr. Sudath Silva. He has joined Sri Lanka Customs 29 years ago, and he's also an attorney at law. Presently, he is a superintendent of Sri Lanka Customs. Today, we are going to discuss about the process involved in customs, especially the border management, as we call them. That's a very important area for anyone involved in export and import trade, as well as ordinary travelers leaving or returning to the island. Let me first ask you, Sudath. Sri Lanka Customs is one of the oldest government departments. Can you tell us about the services provided by Sri Lanka Customs?
Thank you, Dan. In fact, Sri Lanka Customs is one of the oldest departments of the country. It goes back to over 200 years. But if you see the exact history, we have a history running towards 2nd century, where during the period of King Gajabahu II, there had been merchants coming into Sri Lanka, those who were asked to pay customs duty. This is clearly stated in the stone inscription at Godavaya temple, which clearly says the customs duty shall be collected from the merchant visiting Sri Lanka, and part of it will be given to the temple. Although this is the historical evidence, but our current written customs history starts from 1809, when the colonial government at that time appointed the first customs commissioner. If you look at the legal framework, the first customs ordinance was introduced in 1869, and we are still using this piece of legislation as our base document. So Sri Lanka Customs is having over 200 years of written history.
Well, in any country, customs we know as a border protection authority or a revenue maker for a country, plays a major role in protecting the border. Can you tell us about the border control operation of Sri Lanka Customs?
Well, that is one of the challenges in fact Sri Lanka Customs has. Our two main functions, if you look at, we have to collect revenue for the government, but at the same time we have to control the prohibited and restricted goods coming into the country or leaving the country. We have many laws supported by the customs ordinance to control these prohibited and restricted goods, starting from imports and exports control law, then standard, then it comes to quarantine. So these challenges are handled by customs in a very effective manner. When it comes to imports, we use the modern technology. We have the container scanners, and when it comes to passenger baggage, we have the baggage scanners. So any initial measure taken by the customs to examine or screen the cargo, we use the technology. Then on the other hand, we also use our intelligence, and we have the mechanism for risk management. Then using risk management profiles, we select the targeted importers and exporters and examine their imports and exports physically. So the physical examination is the most effective way, because sometimes you cannot totally depend on technology. So these physical examinations we carry out for imports, and as far as containers are concerned, in 3 different examination points. And as far as air cargo is concerned, at the Katunayake airport itself. So the examination is a key measure taken by customs to control the prohibited and restricted goods coming into the country or leaving the country.
Now, when you talk about examination, is it executed mandatorily to everything or in a random mode where only suspicious things or items and circumstances are involved in this process?
When it comes to cooperation or facilitation of the trade, we cannot examine everything. If we do that, that will be a big barrier for the smooth flow of cargo into the country. Therefore, we have to use our risk management techniques to target. What we do is, we have our automated system which is capable of targeting the suspicious imports and exports. So we basically use our automated system to target, but we don't only rely on the automated system. We have officers deployed at various points of the clearance process where the officers physically or manually identify suspicious shipments, and then they are directed for the examination.
We know that Sri Lanka Customs is one of the major revenue earning agency for the government of Sri Lanka. Can you tell us about the revenue collection system at Sri Lanka Customs?
Well, I'm very proud to be here as a government officer who contributes more than 50% of the government income. We collect customs duty. Not only customs duty, there are several other taxes applicable at the border. For example, value-added tax, excise special provision duty, port and airport development levy, nation building tax, so on. So we not only collect customs duty, but also all the other applicable taxes at the border. And when it comes to collection, we have deployed an automated system where the trader or his agent, we call them customs broker, can submit the customs declaration initially using online real-time system, and we process this document. After processing the document, we allow the importer to pay the customs duty, and thereafter we do the selectivity, as I said earlier, and if necessary we divert it for examination. And presently we have identified 47 compliant importers, compliant traders, for whom we don't examine their cargo, we directly deliver it to their warehouse.
Now, when we fly and return to Sri Lanka, we generally get a declaration form in the airline. Is it mandatory to fill this form, or can someone without filling the form go through the customs channel?
Yeah, before explaining, I'll give a straightforward answer. It is not mandatory to fill this form. It is optional. Why I say so? At Sri Lanka Customs, to facilitate the travelers, we have established a green channel. Those who do not have anything to declare to customs, they can just simply walk into the green channel and pass through. But if you have anything to declare, when I say anything to declare, it could be something taxable, or it could be something where you need a license to import. You have to declare it in the proper declaration. And if you look at the reverse of the declaration, you will know what items are taxable and what items need license. And if you have any such item, please do fill up your declaration. And one of the common things, say if you look at exchange, foreign exchange, how much of money you're bringing in. If you're bringing in more than 15,000 US dollars, you have to declare it to customs. And when you're leaving, if you are carrying more than 10,000 US dollars, you have to declare it to customs. It's only a declaration, so you don't have to worry, because it's just to regulate. We have introduced these measures. Once you declare, we make necessary endorsements in your passport, and you're free to take it in or take it out.
Dan, and today I have Mr. Sudath Silva, Superintendent of Customs. When we talk about the role of customs, it plays an important role in international trade. And I understand, Sudath, that you are a member of the Sri Lanka's task force to the World Trade Organization that attends to the unification and harmonization of international trade laws. Custom is all about dealing with international trade. What are measures taken by Sri Lanka Customs to facilitate compliant traders?
That's the latest development taking place at Sri Lanka Customs. We know the compliant traders are our clients, those who really help us to grow. In the past, we looked at every trader alike. We did not have any mechanism to identify the compliant people and facilitate them. On the top of that, there are some international agreements being introduced, especially by the World Trade Organization, the Trade Facilitation Agreement, which came into force on 22nd February this year. There are many measures recommended to facilitate trade. Starting with the measures taken by Sri Lanka Customs, since last year, we have now introduced the green channel for compliant traders. By going through a very rigorous screening process, we have put them into two categories. One as fast track, the other one as green channel. There are 47 fully compliant companies identified, and their imports are processed through very fast track and also released without any examination. If you look at the fast track companies, we do their document processing at a very rapid pace, and only selected companies are diverted to the examination point. So these two measures have reduced the processing time for these selected companies, especially we call them compliant traders, more than 90%. And on the other hand, we are now in the process of developing a trade portal, which is a measure recommended by the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, to give full awareness related to international trade. So this trade portal will consist of all the laws, regulations, procedures, where if somebody wants to start trading, they can get all the related information. And World Bank is helping us to develop the National Trade Portal. But the major breakthrough we are going to take is by the introduction of the National Single Window. We are at the initial stage of identifying the area of the National Single Window. Of course, the World Bank is helping us in this process as well. We are going to prepare the blueprint by the end of this year. And once the blueprint is ready, we will be embarking on the implementation. Let me briefly tell you what single window is. A single window is a facility or a portal where the trader has to make his application through a single entry point. So once his application is submitted through a single entry point, all the related government agencies will have to accept it and process and grant their approvals if it is rejected or the information that it has been rejected. By doing this, the trader will not have to go to each and every government entity for the relevant approvals. We call it sending people from pillar to post. That will be totally eliminated. But this is a major challenge because bringing all the government agencies together, it's not easy. And once the single window is established, we expect the efficiency of the clearance process will be increased by tremendous pace.
What is this blueprint that you referred?
The blueprint, as usually, say if you want to construct a house, you have to consult an architect, give your structure, give your ideas. Then he will put all your ideas into a paper and give you a blueprint. So that is something similar to a blueprint of a construction of a house. where you will identify the stakeholders, those who should play in the single window, and how they will be connected, the technology, and on the other hand, the current regulations applicable, what are the legal reforms we will have to go through, all that will be covered in the blueprint.
Customs monitor not only movement of goods, but also the movement of travelers. What are the rules applicable to travelers, and what advice do you give them to be compliant?
This is very important for the general public, because someday in our life, at some moment, we might get the chance to travel abroad. And when you travel abroad, there are series of regulations which control your movement. Not that we control your movement, but then you have to be aware to be compliant. Starting from taking foreign exchange, bringing in or taking out. As I earlier said, if you are bringing in foreign exchange up to 10,000 US dollars or 15,000 to be precise, you have to declare to customs. And when you are leaving country, if you are carrying more than 10,000 US dollars, you have to declare that to the customs. Also, there are other items like mobile phones, which need regulatory approval from the Telecommunication Regulatory Authority. If you are bringing in such items, you have to inform customs, where customs will probably request you to get the particular approval. Then coming back to the concessions, what we offer to the travelers. If you want to bring goods to the Sri Lanka after your visit, maybe for training, maybe for business, or maybe for leisure, when you come back, we have given some allowance to bring goods without payment of duty. So to make it precise, if you stay over 365 days, that's 1 year, you are entitled to bring goods up to 1,000 US dollars, 1,000 US dollars. If it is between 90 and 365 days, you are entitled to 500 US dollars. If it is less than 90 days, you can bring goods up to 125 US dollars.
Sudath, you are involved in the IT department of Sri Lanka Customs. Now, the automation of processes is an effective measure for the government agencies to reduce processing time and costs and to increase the transparency. Can you tell us as to what measures Sri Lanka Customs has taken to automate the process?
I'm very proud to stand here as an officer directly working in the automation of customs processes. I'm currently attached to the ICT division of Sri Lanka Customs. Sri Lanka Customs is one of the first governmental agency to start automating their processes way back in 1993. Of course, with the help of the UNCTAD, the UN agency responsible for trade facilitation, developed a software for customs processing. We call it ASICUDA, Automated System for Customs Data. The UN was very kind enough to give us this application way back in 1993 with its primary version of 2.7. Then we upgraded to the version called ASICUDA Plus in the year 2000. And the latest version called ASICUDA World we deployed in 2011. With this development over 2 decades, customs now offer real-time submission of customs declaration 24/7 from your own office or maybe for your residence, online real-time payments of customs duty, which we launched about 2 months ago. The traders need not walk into the bank or walk into customs to make their payments. They can use their internet portal to make their payment. There are 5 banks already subscribed to this internet payment facility. Also, after offering this automated process, we also offer this new scheme of green channel, the facilitation to the ultimate. One more thing I want to say. Sri Lanka Customs is now ready to accept the customs declaration without paper. So within few months, we are expecting some legal clearance to begin the project. We will be able to offer paperless processing for the selected compliant traders.
You're listening to Coffee with Dan. Today we have with us Mr. Sudath Silva, Superintendent of Customs. He's also an attorney at law. And now we will go for a break, and when we come back, let us discuss more important areas of Sri Lanka Customs for the benefit of the general public. Welcome back, and today you are listening to Mr. Sudath Silva, Superintendent of Customs, who has a well over 29 years of experience, and he's also an attorney at law. And you're listening to Coffee with Dan. Turning back to our discussion, Sudath, in customs enforcement, Sri Lanka Customs investigate the frauds committed under customs law and related law. How do you encourage the people to pass information regarding the illegal activities?
Well, there are twofold benefits in this process. As we have many compliant traders, simultaneously there are many traders, those who commit commercial frauds related to customs. It could be either non-payment of duty and taxes, or underpayment of duties and taxes, or it could be bringing in or taking out certain restricted or prohibited goods. And that is the area covered by customs law and regulation. When such illegal activities are taking place, the customs has the authority to investigate. Not only investigate, to simplify the administration of justice process, the customs law also provide the power to the Director General of Customs to hold customs inquiries and impose penalties on these traders, those who violate the law. In this process, we have developed a scheme to motivate the informers. If somebody can pass an information to Sri Lanka Customs related to a commercial fraud, the customs will investigate. After the investigation, the customs will conduct an inquiry. If there is a penalty imposed, or if there is a forfeiture imposed, out of this proceeds, the informant is entitled for a cash reward. This is purely to motivate the informers, and this cash reward can go up to 30% of the total recovery, depending on the value or the correctness or the reliability of the information. This is one of the measures implemented by Sri Lanka Customs few decades ago, and it is very effective. If somebody wants to pass the information to customs, there are two ways. First thing, you can call on through our hotline. I'll tell you the number. It's not 11 2 471 471. I repeat, not 11 2 471 471. By contacting this hotline, you can always pass the information to Sri Lanka Customs, or else you can walk into any customs office nearby and meet the officer in charge and give him the information. You will be rewarded with money.
I know that you are an academic in the field of customs management, international trade, logistics, supply chain management. Do you think that we have done enough to educate the young professionals in these fields?
This is one of the major areas I am working on right now. I know we have to first educate the people. Just catching them and imposing fines will never bring the society to the correct path. If we want to bring the people in this society to the correct path, awareness is one of the most important things. Now, to give you one example in my life, when I was small, I never wanted to be a lawyer because people say lawyers are liars. But as I grew, I happened to study law and became a lawyer. I realized the value of learning law. And in my opinion, we should teach our children the law from the school, maybe from the senior secondary education level. Knowing law is extremely important. When you come back to my topic, the international trade or customs regulations or logistics, there is a big vacuum in the environment to give knowledge to the professionals, those who are seeking this knowledge. I have to accept it, we have not done enough. It's not only me as an organization, there are many private entities, private educational institutes, those who can really contribute to this sector. The government universities, private universities, the related government agencies can all get together and develop the curriculum related to this particular area, which is very important as far as the international trade processes are concerned.
Joining Sri Lanka Customs is a dream for some youngsters. Can you tell us how to join Sri Lanka Customs?
Yeah, customs is a very interesting place to work because you don't do same thing every day. We have diversified areas to work at customs. It can be collection of duty, processing document, examination cargo. It can be controlling social protection, maybe biodiversity protection, maybe narcotic control, or maybe sometimes consumer protection, looking at IPR violations. It is a place where you need diversified knowledge, multiple talents to work. Because of that, there are many youngsters, those who are striving to join customs. Let me just tell you the basic qualification you need. We recruit at 2 levels. The inspectors of customs are recruited from advanced level, but of course they have to have the particular physical requirements. That height is 5 feet and 6 inches, and the chest should be 32 inches. But as far as the girls are concerned, they need only 5 feet and 2 inches in height. With advanced level, you can join as an inspector, but the officers are recruited at the rank of assistant superintendents. To become an assistant superintendent, you have to have the first degree obtained from a recognized university in Sri Lanka. Also, the physical requirements, as I said earlier, similar to the same as inspectors. Then the process is, when there are vacancies available in customs, the government publish the notification through the Gazette calling for applications. Once you are selected through the application, you will have to sit for an aptitude test. If you get the required marks through the aptitude test, you are sure to get selected to customs.
My final question for today, Sudath, is how many employees are there at Sri Lanka Customs, and what is the ratio between females and males?
That's a very interesting question, Dan. In fact, we have over 3,000 employees in customs, but as career customs officers, we have about 2,200. If you look at the ratio, male versus female, fortunately or unfortunately, the policy of the government is to recruit only 10% females to the customs service. Because of this, sometimes some talented females get dropped out. But if you look at the duties assigned to a customs officer, sometimes it's a little bit challenging for a female to perform. And I wish we can increase this to a better percentage where there will be more females at Sri Lanka Customs.
Thank you very much. Now we come to the end of today's discussion in Coffee with Dan. I had with me Mr. Sudath Silva, Superintendent of Customs. He's also an attorney at law. And thank you very much, Sudath, for joining in our today's discussion, Coffee with Dan. And tomorrow, we will be back with a very important discussion